All right, so we're here with our period 4 orange-purple class, and we're going to be talking about our last lesson before we take our unit test next Thursday. And this lesson is going to accompany a couple of things. We're going to first talk about relations and functions, domain and range, vertical line test. And then we're going to move into evaluating using function notation. Now, what's really nice is we already did some work with evaluating, but now we're just going to make it a little bit more formal and evaluate with function notation. So let's start with domain, range, relation, and function. All right, so anytime you have x and y values in a relationship, it's called a relation. Okay, so that's like the basic thing you can always say about a table of x and y values. Then when you dig a little deeper, all right, you can go as far and say function if your inputs only have one unique output. Okay? So that's what we're going to look for when we determine if it's a function or not, where there's only one output for each input. And you guys have been doing this for a while. Now for the domain and range, the domain are your x values, the range are your y values. And we're going to use some notation that we learned last week to help us write those down. Here is ways that you can organize some data. You have a table and the map of the numbers over there. I just want to look at those numbers. If I were to write down that these were the x's and these were the y's, then I would have ordered pairs 7, -1, 7, 0, 9, -7, 12, -1, and 15, 0. So you can briefly look at those. Does everyone see how I got those order pairs? Right? So you're looking at the arrows here mapping it. What is the domain of this? What would be the domain of this relation? What's the domain? 7, 9, 12, and 15. Notice how I only said 1, 7. If it repeats, you don't need to do it more than once. All right? So it'll be 7, 9, 12, and 15. Does anyone know what notation I just used to write down the domain? Those are not brackets. What is it? Say it again. Mustache? It's called a brace. It's called a brace. All right, mustache, usually we refer to mustaches for on animals or humans. All right, so this is a brace. What is that notation called from last week? Oh, man, all of my subscribers are watching this and thinking, wow, period 4 orange purple, what's going on? What kind of notation did we do last week? Who remembers some of the names of our notation? This is just... I feel like I need to stop the recording. This is so terrible. No one remembers any of the notations we did? Which one? Interval notation. Is this interval notation? No. It's not, but thank you for telling me a notation, Jasmine. So it's not interval. What other ones do we do? It's going to be on the test next Thursday. Uh-oh. Everyone, all that rustling you're hearing is everyone getting their notes out. Well, not Matthew, but most people. Yes, Adarelli. It's roster notation. Thank you so much. Well done. All right. We did learn roster notation where you list things and use braces. All right. What was the other notation that we learned? You guys all put your notes away. What was the other notation that we learned besides interval, roster, and there's one more that we learned last week? It's set builder notation. That was the most complicated one. So there's roster notation. What about the range? What's going to be the range of values?
-1, 0, -7. That's it.
No.
Just -1 and then.
Thank you, Miguel. -7, -1, and 0. Notice I said no because you guys did not list it in numerical order. So make sure you go from least to greatest. And even though the -1s repeat, there's only one of them, and the 0s repeat, there's only one of them. Okay? Now, let's think about this. You just looked at this relation, wrote down the domain and the range. Would you consider this x and y relationship a function?
No.
Why not?
Because the X
Because of what?
there's more than one X.
There's more. Well, there's plenty of x's. There's 7, there's 9, there's 12, there's 15.
Okay, there's more than the same.
I need you to be more specific using
Like
some.
there's 2 sevens.
There's 2 7s. Very good. We have 2 instances of x being 7, all right, with different outputs. That's not okay, so this is not a function. So we would say relation. Any questions on this process? Let's do another one. The domain of this one. The domain of this one. Franklin, what do you got for the domain of this one?
2, 4, no. 1, 2, 3.
Excellent. Good job correcting yourself. 1, 2, 4, and 6. Well done. The range of this one. The range. Let's go with Adrian. Excellent. Very good. Not only did Adrian put it in numerical order, but he did not repeat the 8. All right. It happens twice, but we don't need to say that. All right. So the main question, though, is it a function? Yes, I heard Jesslyn say yes. Why, Jesslyn? We have some repeating. Very good. So if you look at your x values here or in the domain, are we repeating any of our x values? No. So it's okay if we have repetition in the y values or the range. So this is a function. Yes. Let's do letter B. All right, the domain for this one, Natalie? Excellent. And the range, let's go with Jasmine. The range, please. Very good. Oh, look at that. Look at the same. Nice. Okay, here we go. Is it a function? I heard, let's see. Wait for it. I know your name. Silala, yes. You said no. Why? Because 2 zeros, be specific, because I see 2 zeros here. In the where? In the domain. Very good. So these zeros repeat in the domain. Now be careful. I know that almost every time you do this and you see repetition in the x, you think, oh, we're good, it's a relation. But just take a little peek at those y's, because what if those y's were also the same? Like, what if the y's were also the same? Would you then say a function? You still wouldn't? Interesting. All right, so this is a relation.
So every time it's not a function, it must be a relation.
Well, so let me say it this way. Every time we do one of these, it's a relation. Then we ask ourselves, can we go past that and say it's a function? Okay? Yes, but I want you to get in the mindset of saying all of these are relationships, so they're relations. All right, and then you ask yourself, can I get more specific and say it's a function? Yes?
With the function, there's a repetition on the range.
The range is okay. You can repeat in the range. You just cannot repeat in the x and have different y values. And I'll show you another way to see that. Do you guys remember the vertical line test? Do you guys remember this vertical line test? So let me show you using the vertical line test for this first one we did. All right, so if I just plot those 7s, if I plot 7, -1, and 7, 0, you'll notice they happen to be on the same vertical line. So that would show you that it fails the vertical line test, so it's not a function. Okay? So if you're having trouble with this in the graphical way or in ordered pairs, all right, you can always do a quick little sketch. Questions? Can you go over this again? Everyone understands the vertical line test? If you hit more than one point on your vertical line, it's not a function. All right, that's because your x value, let's say here the x value is 4, does not have only one output. There's an output up here and an output down there. So it's a relation. Okay? All right. Let's do these real quick. What about this first one on the top left? So relation, right? It fails the vertical line test pretty much everywhere. What about the one on the top right? Does it fail the vertical line test? Nope, that's a function. What about this one here, the bottom left? Y relation, Cameron? Doesn't fail it, right? Where does it fail it? Whoa, right there. Oh, sorry. Do it again. Right. Oh, do it again. Do it again. No. Where is it? At the 2. Thanks for being specific. Thank you so much. At the 2, you have 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 1, 2, -3. All right. Now, what if one of those was open? What if this was an open circle?
It would not be including it, so it would be a function.
It would be a function. If this one was open or this one was open, then it would pass the vertical line test. And we're going to do that in April. All right? These are called piecewise functions. And do it in April. It'll be good times. But this one is a relation. And what about our circle? Also going to do that in May. Relation, right? It fails the vertical line test. Also, only one function set. Questions on how to do any of this? Domain, range, relation, function, all that. You guys ready to try? All right, you're about to try these right here. Ready? Go!